Hey everybody, it's Rory from ANSgear. We're going to take a first look at the brand new Etek 5. We've got one for you guys to check out here. So we'll go ahead and open it up and show you what you're going to get. You can see it's the new box, different color. Still a box though. You're still going to open it up. Set this off to the side here. All right, so you're going to get the standard fare for an Etek setup. You're going to get your manual right here. Always a great manual. They probably give the most descriptive and easy to follow along with manuals in the paintball industry. You're going to get barrel sleeve, your barrel, which is it's a shaft 4 barrel, so it's compatible with any of the other shaft 4 accessories. And it is a 693 bore. They're still reverse threaded. Can go together. Inside your other half, you're going to get your Allen keys, spare parts bag, and some oil. Now I've got a couple things that I've already done here. I've taken the screws off of the gun, so all the grip frame screws are off. It's going to make it easier for us to open up later on, and then we'll talk about this piece later as well. We'll take out our barrel, we'll take out our gun, we'll close this all up and set it off to the side. And just for comparison, what we're going to do first is we're going to look at this compared to a standard Etek 4. So here's our new 5, and then here is a 4. So you can see there's a couple big differences right off the bat. The way the new regulator is set up, it's a new SL4 regulator. It still has the angle connector right here, but it is covered in a rubber grip now. The LPR has been integrated into the front of the bodies, just like the LV1 setups. Internally, they're very similar to the LV1 setup as far as where the LPR goes and what it does inside there and how it sits. The eye covers obviously are slightly different, and they might change before the final production model comes out. The grips are now more of a wraparound grip. They do go farther back. They still do wrap around the front. The trigger setup is a little bit different. The way the carrier is that holds the trigger in place is slightly different, and we'll have a chance to kind of look at that. But the body style definitely is different, more akin to an LV1 setup than a traditional Etek. You can see that the rig's further forward. The gun is actually slightly longer. If we set it up right here, let me flip these so you can see it. Put this one over the top here. So I'm just lining up feed necks. You can see our barrel length ends up being in the same spot right here, but where the front reg sits, where the frame sits, and definitely where the end of the gun sits, different. It's giving that our feed necks and barrels are sitting in the same spot. So the setup is definitely more like your LV1 setup, the more that you look at it. So we'll go ahead and throw it on a scale just to weigh it up real quick. Check out the weight difference and see which one's heavier, which one's lighter. So we are at a 0 right there. So put that on there. Get that out of the way so you can actually see it. There we go. So does that say 2.25? And this one comes in at 2.36. So just about 2 ounces lighter. So for the new setup being slightly lighter, that's always a plus. Let's get our scale out of the way here. Now we'll get a little bit more in depth with the gun itself. Go ahead and take the barrel back off. We'll start taking some parts off of here. There's only going to be one version of the Etek 5. It's going to be the kind of like the LT version of the Etek 4. So you're going to get composite parts as far as the feed neck, the eye covers, the frame is all going to be composite with the body, and anything that needs to hold air or seal properly is going to be made out of aluminum. So your front LPR cap, the ram cap, the body, those are all going to be aluminum, but all the other parts are going to be composite. Oh, the regulator as well. So we'll kind of take some parts off really quick so you can get a look inside. Like I said, I've already taken all the screws off of there, but the first thing I'm going to do is pop off my line here, make it easier to maneuver around. With this off the bottom, I can pull the front of the reg grip off, unscrew the bottom, pull the swivel off there, and then I can just grab this and pull it off. Unlike the LV1, where the LPR cover was one piece, the reg grip was one piece, this is now just one solid piece. So it incorporates both pieces into one. I kind of like that better. New SL4, or not new, it comes with an SL4 regulator now, and threads right off there. The front part here, the LPR, comes apart the same way as the LV1 setups do. So if you want to take this apart, what you have to do it properly is push on the valve cap here as well as on the LPR. You want to push both of them down at the same time, and that will let the tuning fork come right out. Now, I can probably just shake it out if I can't get it. Just take an Allen key and slide it out. It should come in and out very easily. You shouldn't need to force it or pry it or feel like it's grinding or anything. If it does, you're not pushing properly on the front. It should easily slide out when you're pushing both those down. So you take that off. You can see that now the spring is actually around the stem here instead of being attached to the valve, which you can see right here to your cups or your poppet. So that's going to sit together like that, go through. So it's slightly different than the LV1 setup, but the idea is the same with it. And then we can pull out your LPR. Now the piston is going to be stuck in there. I probably won't be able to get that out unless I had a pair of pliers, but I don't think I do. Let me just try and get it out with this. See if I can wiggle it out of here. There we go. Comes right out. Obviously, anything you want to stick in there, you want to make sure that you're not damaging or scratching or anything like that. So here's your LPR. It's going to sit right underneath there like that with your tuning fork coming up and connecting both of those together. So your valve is sitting inside here, which you can see very different setup than a standard Etek 4. Now when it comes to the guts of the gun here, let's take off our grips. They've switched sides on us as far as the battery and the plugs. They used to all be on the same side. You could just take your right side grips off, access your battery and the board and all the connections and everything like that. But now they've put the battery on one side and your plugs are on the other. So if you're going to do work on your gun or you're going to unplug anything, I'd recommend unplugging the battery, just because if I fold it over or turn it over, the battery's going to want to fall out the bottom. So just unplug your battery. It'll make everything easy to work on. Our 3 ports are right here. We've got our micro switch port, our I port, and our solenoid port. We're going to unplug the 2, our eyes and our solenoid, just so we can pull the frame apart. We don't necessarily need to pull off the micro switch plug, but you can if you want to. Just to separate the frame away from the body, we don't need to unplug that one. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll pull the frame off and show you what features you're going to get with the board. All right, so let's just do that. Got 2 set screw or 2 screws, same as before. Just undo those 2, set them off to the side. With those off, we can drop down. Make sure you don't catch your wiring. Pull it all apart. You never want to just pull it apart. You can damage your wiring. With the old ones, there was a spring up top here, a metal kind of V-shaped. It works as a spring. It's basically a holder. And it's a little different now the way the trigger is set up. To remove the trigger out, there's actually a set screw that you can get to diagonally from the bottom right here. It sits right in there. Kind of hard to see, but it's in there. That set screw pushes against the post right here, which holds the trigger in place. So to get the trigger out, you just undo that set screw, slide the post out, and you could pop the trigger up and out. It's not a bearing system. It kind of rides in a brass bushing, but it's still nice and smooth. It's a little sloppy. It's got some side-to-side play on it, but it's still a nice smooth trigger pull on there. So different kind of a carrier system for the trigger. So we can see we've got our micro switch in there. We've got our board sitting in here. Now, one thing with these guns, with the new Etek 5s, is they have an optional OLED upgrade. It does not come with the gun. It is something you have to purchase separate, but you can use the same frame to set it up with the OLED screen as with just the stock board. You don't need to buy a new frame, no new hardware, no nothing. All you need is the new board. Put it in. Only thing we need to do is we want to take out this plate right here. Now you can see this plate has a sticker on it that says Etek 5. We just want to slide that plate out, and it just pops right out. So it's just a plastic plate. There's nothing there. Basically, it's just taking up the space. It's a filler piece right there. Now what we can do is slide our board up, and we want to expose this, this port right here. By moving this out of the way, or moving the port out of the way, we can take our new OLED board. We can plug it in to the port that's on the board, and then we can go ahead and slide it back into the gun, making sure that it fits securely in there and that nothing is in the way or causing it not to slide in. Plug our board back in, or our battery back in, and then we'll fire it up, and you can see the screen on there. It's the simplest switch ever for changing your board into an OLED version. And there we go. It's on, ready to go. You can do all your changing, everything through the board, through the OLED display on the back. To go back, unplug your battery, slide your board out, remove the OLED module, slide your board back in, and then replace this plastic piece if you want to. I mean, I guess you really don't need to put that in there, but it just is going to be a space filler for you. So pretty cool setup, not needing to have a totally different frame to do an OLED setup. Very, very simple, kind of cool. So it gives you definitely a lot of upgrade options on there. Solenoid's mounted to a manifold right here. It's pretty standard fare now for Egos. There's a magnet up in this little piece right here that's going to provide your trigger return, the pushback on your trigger return. You've got our transfer tube right here. This is running from our LPR, running air back into the solenoid. Working pressure of this gun, they've reduced it tremendously. So your LPR pressure is about 85, which is not anything too different, but the working pressure for shooting is about 150 PSI. So that's a noticeable change as far as pressure output, making the gun smoother and a little less cakey. Another thing that they've done is they're now running the Cure 5 bolts with the soft, like the GSL style soft tip, and the ZIC 3 RAM setups on there. So again, two-stage RAM movement, giving you that soft encounter on the bolt, but then the capability of tremendous rates of fire with you know, all the confidence of having a gun that's not going to be chopping paint or breaking paint. So I'll throw that back together. I'm going to put all this stuff back together. Make sure you always snap your bolt in properly. Check it against the valve. Make sure you feel it in there. Even though I don't have a valve in it, my cup seal's gone right now, I can still kind of have an idea. I can see the RAM moving inside there. I know I'm locked properly into place. They're still using the same detents, same eyes. Nothing's really changed there. The valve retainer pin is a little different. You can just pop it out by hand. You don't need a screw or an Allen key to pop it out. But the valve body is still the same as you've seen before. So all in all, the new Etek 5 is kind of a transition between the 4 being kind of the run-of-the-mill, like the same as the 3s and the 2s that you've seen before, really stepping up into like the higher-end gun system, looking more like the LV1 platform. Great shooter, smooth shooter. It's going to be a great gun. So When you're in the market for a new hotness, a new gun, check this out. This is the Etek 5, very similar to the LV1s. It's going to be a great gun. Check it out. It's available in multiple options through the website. Order yours now through ANSgear.com.